Hey, it's Deep. Welcome to my Patreon page. Today I'm going to do a review of the 1973 film, The Exorcist. Then I'm going to compare the film to the novel. The novel was written by William Peter Blatty. It was a New York Times bestseller in 1971. Later he adapted it into screenplay for the film. The film was directed by Academy Award winner William Friedkin. My father saw the film in 1974 in the theater. Afterwards he saw it several times. When I was around 11 or 12, we borrowed the DVD titled The Version You've Never Seen from my cousin. I was only able to watch about half of it. Then recently I came across the 40th anniversary audiobook narrated by Mr. Blatty. It was the best horror story I've ever listened to. His narration was excellent. If you haven't seen the film or read the novel, I suggest you stop watching this, because I'm going to give away spoilers. I don't recommend the film for young children. Only people who are 15 and up. And they're mature enough to handle the content. But now as an adult, the film wasn't as scary for me as when I was a child. So the story of The Exorcist is about a 12-year-old girl named Regan McNeil who plays with a Ouija board and gets possessed by a demon named Pazuzu. Regan is staying with her mother in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. Her mother, Chris McNeil, is an actress shooting for a film near Georgetown University. When Regan starts to act strange, her mother gets a bunch of medical tests for her. The doctors aren't able to find anything that they could treat using medicine, so they suggest that she get an exorcism. They think that if she gets an exorcism, she'll be back to normal. So her mother gets the help of two priests who perform an exorcism and drive out the demon from her body. There are a lot of positive things about the film, such as the acting, sound effects, cinematography, and special effects. The acting is very good because all the actors did a wonderful job of portraying their characters' suffering. All the main characters in the film are suffering in some way. For example, Father Marin, who is played by Max von Sydow, is suffering from old age and disease. He's got a heart problem that he's taking medicine for. Father Karras, who is played by Jason Miller, is suffering due to loss of faith. and his mother's recent death. Regan McNeil, who is played by Linda Blair, is suffering at the hands of the demon. And Chris McNeil, played by Ellen Burstyn, is suffering because she can't find a solution for her daughter. The only thing she can do is watch helplessly as her daughter is tormented and tortured. The makeup in the film is very good. Regan's possessed face is disturbing. It's got cuts all over it, and her eyes are like a yellowish color, and her lips are cracked. So it's trying to show that the demon has abused her body, and it's causing it to decay. Then Father Marin is Max von Sydow is wearing the makeup for Father Marin. While shooting the film, he was only in his 40s, but with the makeup, he looks a lot older. So Dick Smith did a wonderful job. The special effects are also very good. Like in the beginning, when Regan plays with the Ouija board, the planchette moves by itself. That's cool. Then Regan's bed starts to shake while she's sleeping. Then Dick Smith also made a mechanical doll for the head spinning scenes. They made Regan levitate using wires. All of that stuff is awesome. The sound effects are very good too. Like, there isn't any background music during the scary scenes. It mostly uses like a disturbing sound, like banging noises and the demon's voice. In the beginning and during the archaeological dig, well, in the beginning, Father Marin faces off with the statue of Pazuzu on top of a hill in Iraq. On the side, there are two dogs fighting each other, and the sound effect in that scene is phenomenal. So all throughout the film, it's awesome. The use of lighting in the film is very good too. Like in Regan's bedroom, during the exorcism scene, there's only like a dim lamp, but most of her room is dark. And in the scene where Regan's bed is shaking, we can see like the light bulbs flashing outside of her bedroom door. So it's just awesome. Now there are some things in the film that I think could have been better. Like In the novel, the conversation between Regan and Father Karras is a little bit longer than in the film. The demon's dialogue is also wittier. When Father Karras first goes to visit Regan, the dialogue is a lot wittier in the novel than in the film. And also in other parts of the novel, it's just better overall. I saw the theatrical version of the film, which didn't include the spider vaccine, and it also didn't have an extra medical exam that Regan undergoes. It's 10 minutes shorter, but I think overall the movie is very good, even without the spider vaccine. I saw that scene separately and I thought it was kind of goofy. In the novel, it says that the spider vaccine is when Sharon enters a room where Chris is hanging out, and then Regan is following her on the floor. And in that scene, Regan is actually crawling like a spider while her tongue is flicking out. But in the extended director's cut of the film, when she comes down the stairs, the only thing that happens is that there's blood in her mouth. And she makes a screaming noise. In the novel, there's also a scene in the beginning where furniture moves by itself in Regan's room, and her dress also moves by itself, which is to imply that the demon actually moved it. But in the film, it doesn't show that. I think the film would have been scarier if it showed something like that. Then, in the novel, it also says that Regan has diarrhea in addition to the vomiting. So, if you read the book, you get like a very clear understanding of the demon Pazuzu's goal. Because the demon's domain is sickness and disease. That's why Regan has diarrhea and vomiting. If you just watch the film, then you wouldn't know why. The demon also tells Father Karras that he's the devil because he knows that Karras is losing his faith. So it's just to psychologically torment him. The demon is very intelligent in the story. I've heard that in the extended director's cut there's more flashes of the demon's face. In the theatrical version, his face only pops up during Father Karras's dream, when his mother goes up the stairs from the subway. And also when Regan is getting exorcised, it flashes when she turns her head and looks at the priest. I think one thing that was unnecessary in the film was during the exorcism scene, there's like an earthquake and Father Karras and Father Merrin fall to the ground. And then they look up at Regan, and Regan is kneeling on the bed, and she raises her arm up. There's a statue of Pazuzu in the background. Now, I don't think the statue is necessary there because we already know that she's possessed. So it's strange that the statue randomly appears in her bedroom. It's like, well, how the hell did it get there? All the way from Iraq. Maybe the demon moved his own statue over to Regan's room. But the spirit of the demon was inside Regan's body, so there's no need to show that statue. I mean, it's not a horribly bad thing, it just doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just a strange effect that they put in. Since the acting in this movie was very good, it was too good for a horror movie. I don't think that I would consider it to be entirely a horror movie. Even Linda Blair said that it's more like a psychological thriller. So I would say that the film is more like a psychological drama and a mix of horror. I don't think it's primarily a horror film, but it's categorized as a horror film by other people. I think the film should have won Best Picture and the actors should have gotten Oscars. It's a shame that this film didn't win more awards. Alright, so I think I've said everything that I wanted to say in this review. I'm going to rate this film 9.8 out of 10. And the novel I'll rate 10 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed my review of The Exorcist. And I plan on making many more reviews for Patreon. Alright, see you soon. Bye.